So as soon as we lit the fire a couple of times and hung out in here, it became kind of obvious that it was silly to maintain two spaces. The heat source is really all that we were waiting on. If we move in here with no running water and no power, that's not that different than the yurt.
We are catching up after a little bit of time off. Nick has actually been out of town for almost 2 weeks. We used to sort of announce that and track it as it happened, but for privacy reasons, we decided to hedge our bets a little bit about that. So if you're wondering if why it is that the rocket mass heater hasn't progressed in the last couple of weeks, it's because Nick hasn't even been here.
So I traveled back to California to work with some friends who do corporate theater, which is like theater but with more money. So I do that just a couple times a year to pay the bills, but it does mean I have to be away. But I go stay in a hotel and eat hotel food and hang out with a bunch of dudes. And that's all fine, but I couldn't make it a way of life. I'm glad it's only a couple times a year. So while I was gone, we're able to communicate through texting and whatnot. I was sent messages when things broke. It always happens that when I leave town, maybe it's because it's always at the same time of year or whatever, but it always happens that like the weather changes or there's some event or something just goes wrong. And I think it's it just sort of shows weaknesses in all of our temporary setups. So this time it was the weather turned, it got really cold, and our above ground water lines froze, which is not necessarily a surprise, but having to do all the things to protect the fixtures and the water heaters and stuff, that can be
What he means is that I forgot to drain the water lines, even though I knew it was freezing, and broke several of our fittings.
So yeah, we broke some stuff.
And by us, he means me.
But it's a good opportunity to. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not going to fix it. I'll fix parts of it, but mostly we're just going to move into the house and work on the permanent systems, which don't need so much protection and daily maintenance when it's cold.
Okay, tell me about the rocket mass heater.
So we did cob right up until I left town, and then we fired it once and got it started to dry out. This is all the cob that we're going to do for the time being. We're going to get this amount of it completely dry. While I was gone, Esther didn't fire it at all, so it's still moist here and there. It's really stable, but we still have to drive some moisture out of the cob. Which won't be hard to do when we're in here and having a fire every day. So this is what it's going to look like for a while until it's dried out, and then we'll start sculpting the final look of the bench and the back, just to get those shapes there. And then after that dries out, we'll be able to do a finish coat of plaster, which will be much more pleasing to look at than the grassy mud ball we have now. But it is operating well. I had to do a cold start today because I just got back and the entire mass was cold, all at 50 degrees or 40 something degrees. I used the priming port to burn a piece of newspaper, and then it lit right up. It was drawing nicely, and I've burned it for 3 hours or more now. It really is heating up nicely. You know, we put soup on the top, and I made I boiled water on the top of it. All of the parts are getting to the right temperatures. Our exhaust is still below 150, so that tells us that we're absorbing all the heat that is available.
So are you glad you did a rocket mass heater?
I'm very glad we did a rocket mass heater. The wood use is going to be the biggest benefit, I think. And it just cuts down the amount of time that we have to spend collecting wood and then feeding it into a fire. There's just less time out of our day, or out of our season even, devoted to that. So that's definitely worth doing. That's time we can use doing a lot of other stuff.
And how are you feeling about having built your own house and having your family start to live in it?
It's pretty sweet. It's good. I'm glad it'll, thus far it's kind of, it's been a job site, and as we clean up this week, that's when it starts to change. I can't just have a pile of tools in the corner or whatever. I probably will now and then, but it's a space for other things now, which is us. We have shelter, we have a heat source, and so we're just going to start ticking off the hierarchy of needs.
We're actually going to be doing a regular vlog as we are moving into our home and celebrating the holidays. We just will never do this again. And one of our favorite things about our YouTube channel is how it documents the important moments of our lives. This is a really important moment. Nick is home full time. This is what we're doing, is moving into our home. We're going to be doing a lot of documenting it and sharing it with you. And then we'll culminate the year with a Mountain Dream Home finale, and that will be the end of season 2. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you more than you could possibly know.
I'm Nick Fouch. Thanks for watching.